Here with more is Bob Amsterdam. The Turkish government has retained his law firm to investigate the activities of a Turkish cleric who President Erdogan has accused of masterminding the coup. And you were just in Turkey then?
I was just a few days ago.
Yeah, and so you give us a little bit more background about this this cleric. They were once friends, allies, and as we saw on Friday, Erdogan saying that this is all generating from Pennsylvania, accusing this cleric of being deeply involved in this coup attempt. What are your thoughts?
Look, my thoughts are that, we've acted for the Turkish government for the last year investigating Gulen outside of Turkey. He is a massive political player here in the United States. He's got 150 charter schools that take in about $500 million. We've exposed a massive amount of fraud, H-1B visa fraud, fraud in terms of basically sweetheart deals with other people connected to his organization. It's systemic, it's well coordinated, it involves thousands of people, and also massive political contributions.
So when you say I mean, were we talking getting guns? Is it organizing? I mean, what are you saying?
He doesn't have to. His methods in Turkey have been to penetrate the judiciary, the army, the police. He's been incredibly effective at doing this. And part of what people are calling the purge is essentially trying to root out his followers inside the very heart and institutions of government.
So talk to me about his tentacles here in the United States. And by the way, we should say right up front, he's denying all of these allegations.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about his tentacles here in the United States. We know he has a number of charter schools. There are also...
He's the biggest in the U.S.
Yeah, so he has elements here in this country which would give him levers with the U.S. government then as well?
Absolutely. I think part of the reason Turkey is so incensed is that he's been a major contributor indirectly to the Clinton campaigns, to many congressional campaigns. He's under investigation.
But it's both Democrats and Republicans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he will pay whoever it is he needs to gain impunity.
Let me ask you about this. The Neutrality Act has been on the books since 1794. It prevents U.S. citizens from taking action against a friendly nation. Erdogan wants him extradited. We don't see many moves in that direction from the U.S. government. Are they likely to do that?
I think it all depends on the evidence that the Turks put forward, and a position I've taken all along is this man is under investigation by the FBI and other organizations in the U.S. One of the other things these organizations can do is further investigate his conduct, because we've put out a tremendous amount of information we've discovered just in the last 10 or 11 months, including, by the way, just publishing FBI records, search warrant affidavits that set out very clearly the kind of money movements going back to Turkey that this man is accused of.
Okay, so it's interesting because Gambian President Yahya Jammeh made similar complaints when there was a failed coup attempt against his government. That was in 2014. Two men living in the United States were snagged within days by the Justice Department. Do you expect that same kind of swift movement here in the U.S. in terms of this case?
You know what? As a lawyer, I never comment on what other governments are going to do. I have to leave it to them.
There was also an accusation by Turkey's labor minister that the U.S. itself was involved in this coup attempt. Secretary of State John Kerry very unhappy with that allegation and dismissing it. I do have to ask, though, one of the things he is worried about, and this is coming up quite a bit, is that this is a good chance for Erdogan to kind of clear the deck, get rid of anybody who has a dissenting voice against him, basically move towards a more authoritarian government. What are your assurances that that won't happen?
I can't give them because my focus has been just Mr. Gulen, but I can tell you this. The flip side to everything that's happened is the president called out his people to defend democracy, and they came in droves. And I think there's not enough attention in the U.S. being directed to the fact that democracy is now alive in Turkey and that the president, who was democratically elected, is still in power. He's doing his best to maintain that, but we're all shocked by what happened Friday night.
So talk to me about your work there in Turkey, because what I want to get at is it seemed as though the U.S. government, a lot of Western nations, caught completely flat-footed, didn't see this coming. You almost get the sense watching his news conference that he didn't see it coming. How surprising is what happened late last week?
Well, it's funny. I did an interview in Daily Sabah in Istanbul when I was there, talking about the threat Mr. Gulen is to Turkey's democracy. It is shocking in that the military elements that were involved and the brutality of what they did, rolling over cars full of civilians in tanks, bombing the parliament. These are things that are almost existential issues for the Turks. So I think it's the violence of the coup and the attacks on parliament that are as shocking as the fact that took place.
And Bob, one final question, briefly, if you can. What's going to be the outcome? I mean, when you say you've investigated Gulen, what do you think is going to be the next step?
I believe the U.S. authorities will act, but I think, as I said, it's up to them as to when.
All right, Bob Amsterdam, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.